Welcome back, listeners. I'm Robin Black, and this is It's All About Healing podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Nima. He is an attachment healing specialist, relationship and trauma bond guide, and I am very excited to speak to him today because I know we are dealing with a lot of these issues now. So let's just get into it and tell us a little bit about yourself, Nima. First off, how are you?
I'm doing really well. And a little bit about myself is that it makes my heart sing to teach others what I most needed to learn. And what I most needed to learn was in the realm of relational dynamics.
Yes.
Figuring that out. And started off as a chiropractor and then realized that most people were coming to see me with stress-related problems because of relational dynamics that were ruptured.
Mm-hmm.
And that carried down into their physical body and their health. And it's just bad news.
Okay.
So what led me into wanting to help them deeper.
Okay. And you're located in British Columbia, Canada, correct?
Yes. Yes, that's where I live. I live on Vancouver Island.
Okay. So, and that's where majority of your practice is. Do you do anything online? Do you offer like online coaching or anything of that nature?
I actually don't do in person. I only do online. So I'm no longer a chiropractor.
Okay.
My only work now is to help people heal at a nervous system level through somatic psychology, attachment theory. And what I do is I help people get clarity on should I stay or go.
Okay.
Whether it's with their careers, whether it's with the person. At what point do I draw the line? And by learning how to create elegant boundaries around who you are, the answer to should I stay or go basically presents itself.
Now, see, with that being said, there is that should I stay or should I go? That is huge for me because there's often a lot of times that we're all guilty of is we see the red flags, but we still continue to stay. Like we have that internal thought of, maybe things will get better. Maybe I can make things change. So how do you help people process that when they notice these red flags?
That's so beautiful. What I do to help people process that is I point them to the fact that that's normal, to name that. Oh my gosh, look at me. This is normally a red flag for someone who's healthy, but there's something about it that keeps me here. And let's see what the payoff is. Really acknowledge what you're getting out of staying. Even though that there's red flags, what is it? I get a sense of belonging. I get this sense of like they're rescuing me from something. I don't feel safe on my own. I don't love myself. These were the questions I had to ask myself. Why was I staying? There were so many red flags in my relationship. She was a former sex worker and now she became a madam. So she's still in sex work.
Yeah.
She, there's no, there really is no family connection. She's still doing it. So I was keeping everything a secret. I didn't want people to find out that entire kind of energy of secrecy, yet scared to leave because I am afraid of the consequence. I'm afraid of what I would lose. I'm afraid of the shared fantasy. And so the red flags are clearly red flags, but what's stopping us is there's truly an unconscious part of us that is trying to get complete.
Yeah.
And so what helps us finally untangle is by doing something very difficult, which is stopping looking at them and only focusing on our effort and energy on healing with the part of us that is using this relationship to get complete.
Right. And so with that being said, so sometimes I feel that when we get in these relationships with this certain type of person, right, or people, it's like as though the energy that our vibration, right, that we're kind of radiating, they subconsciously feel that and they kind of feed off of that. And that's why we're constantly at a back and forth with, I don't want to be in this type of relationship, but I keep attracting this type of
Yes. Because on a conscious level, you don't want to be in this relationship. But the unconscious, which is the younger parts of you, are trying to get completion with something. So with my ex, it was like a replica of my mother. If you can look back at your situations, it was like maybe if I please this one, it would be completing this impossible, journey of trying to please my mother or just regulate her or soothe her in some way.
Right. And then,
So I was replaying an incomplete with my partner, and I didn't know that that was happening.
and oftentimes I hear people say, you know, that our brokenness is kind of like the behaviors that tend to be displayed. So for some of the women or men who are in relationships and want to constantly give out their resume of what they're not going to accept, right? It's like, oh, I'm not going to do this. You don't do this. You don't do that. You're essentially telling the person, okay, you're broken. Here it is. Here's me all on a platter, just right here. This is how to hurt me, right? This is how to use this against me. So what are some of the things that we can do to not do that?
Great question. Wow. So when a person comes out with this resume, as you said, and is like, don't do this, 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 this. What we're actually saying is, I'm still carrying a lot of pain around that. And I'd like to let you in, but I don't want to open my heart, because these are the things that have happened. And I never again do I want to experience this, but I want to have a relationship with you.
Right.
I want to have a relationship with you, but this is what I want to protect myself from, is what we're saying, right?
Yeah.
Which is a very noble thing, but we can do when we don't realize that there's another option. And what is that other option? You ask the question, how do you help these people? What I would do is I would actually go to all of those things that I have on that list, and I would, what I like to call, somatically integrate them. What does that mean? It means, for example, I'll do this again. I had a list. I was like, I'm never getting married again, because after my divorce, I was like, by the way, I am never ever going to get involved and then have to lose my money to another woman. And so this is my list. And so every woman I came with, I had this big wall up. So it was like a boundary. This is when the boundary becomes a wall.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So this is what I say. And so I would have this energy of combativeness. And sure enough, on my last relationship, the thing that I was afraid of is what I ended up attracting: a woman who was highly into litigation, using the story to gain publicity. So I literally attracted the very thing that I was afraid of, is a woman like having to put me through financial pain again.
Right.
Right. And so what I realized was, oh my gosh, what I'm holding in, I'm putting out.
Right.
And what I'm putting out, I'm calling in.
Right.
And so I realized that my story about women had to change. Mm-hmm. If I was to have a different experience with women that I wanted that secure, loving relationship, I had to stop seeing women as gold digging, you know what.
Right.
That was my story about women. So it was like, wait, is it possible that my story about women is why I'm drawing that in? Because not all women are like that. There are some that are like that, but not all women.
Right.
So as I started healing that list, my list, I got to a place, and this is going to sound really weird, Robin, but I got to a place where I had the willingness of going through another divorce.
Interesting.
I got, instead of never again, is like, look, I've become the type of person that I trust myself in a relationship now. I trust my judgment. And even if things go bad, I trust my ability to work through, because I trust this person now, because I trust myself. So I found my sweetheart, and no prenup, no like fear of, oh my gosh, we're going to lose. She's probably literally the most opposite to that other one, which master's degree, black belt in Taekwondo, and feels uncomfortable and I pay for her. Like I'm literally teaching her that it's safe to receive from a man because as she's healing through our relationship, she's feeling more and more trust in the masculine. I'm feeling more trust in the feminine. And it's just such a beautiful. So to answer your question, it was a long way of answering this, Robin, is how do you change that? Is you got to heal the wounding that has you staying in your victim story.
Absolutely. I love that. That is beautiful. And
I would say this to the manosphere guys too.
yeah.
Same thing to those red pill manosphere guys. Bro, get out of your victim story. Right?
Absolutely. You know, that's, I think is hard for people to even recognize that they often tend to victimize themselves. It's like
the victim shadow's sneaky, Robin.
Yeah.
Does not want to be seen. So here's what it sounds like. I don't see myself as a victim, but it's like, of course you don't. That's a blind spot.
Yes.
Like everybody feels like the other person's the victim and they can't see how they are the victim. And so it takes a real highly attuned skill of relational dynamics. That's why I call it becoming trigger proof, because the trigger reveals the shadow, which is the blind spot, that if I can, integrate by bringing into awareness, bringing into understanding, now I can have a relationship with another person and understand them. Right. I can see the reflection. I can use the relationship as this kung fu spiritual practice of loving myself. And that's how I went from toxic trauma bond to an amazing relational dynamic. And so I'm married, beautiful son, and it's all because of I broke the cycle by becoming trigger proof, mastering rupture and repair.
Well, I love that you have that now. So congratulations. But for those those people, I hate to say that, even myself included sometimes, even though I've healed quite a bit, but who are dealing with the victimizing themselves and maybe even possibly dealing with pride and ego, to be able to let that guard down, to be able to actually let the help in. How do they kind of release that?
Well, Robin, there's no point in you asking me that because they're not listening to this podcast. Those types of people, those types of people are not looking for some sort of, how do I solve this? Because the other person's the fucking problem. So why are you even wasting your breath asking? Because they're not listening.
Good point. You're
But I'll humor you. Why don't I just humor you for a moment? I was that person too, where other people were the problem and everything. I couldn't see myself unless you hit a really painful rock bottom.
Yep.
Where you can't escape this. Like you can't delegate this to somebody else. You realize that it's on you. Like, oh my gosh, I might be the bad guy here.
Yes.
If you look at what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening is happening with the American government. It's like, wait a second. And the videos that are coming out from Iran with the Lego rap videos check them out. They're hilarious. But it's like, listen, could you be open to the possibility that you're also like, you're the bad guy in this? Like people don't want to even slightly entertain that, but that's what this conversation deserves. It's like, okay, so here's how I'm the bad guy. And I'm going to sit in the guilt and the shame of that.
Yes, absolutely. And I had to do that because, okay, with me, my my personal story on that is I would always say constantly, I'm tired of being a placeholder. I'm tired of being the until girl. I'm tired of guys just being with me until something else better happens. And I kept saying, why do I keep attracting this? But I wasn't looking at myself. That's the hardest part, is taking accountability and looking at her, because I was doing that. And it was just like, oh, I'm just hanging out. There's nothing wrong with that.
You train them how to treat you.
Yes.
People treat you. What's the word I'm looking for? We teach others how to treat us.
Yes.
People treat us based on the rules that we set for them.
Yes. And that was
that responsibility. No, because it's easier to be the victim, right?
Yeah.
And so that, it's like, how do you get those people? I don't try to convince anyone. I don't have to do that anymore. People reach out to me and they're like, shit, I think, I've done all this. Like, I think that I might be the problem. I'm really embarrassed. I don't know if I'm sick and tired of my bullshit. I want to figure this out. I want to change.
Yeah. And that's where, even like you stated earlier with boundaries, that boundary turns into a wall. But also when you say, okay, I have these boundaries, but then your boundaries become a lot more flexible than what you started, because now you're falling for potential. And that's where lines get crossed also, is how do we not fall for potential?
Yes. And it's really like boundaries is not about what you're telling another person to do. It's about how the action that you're taking. How do we not fall for potential this is what it looks like, Robin, and this is challenging, is that I really would love a long-term relationship and I only feel safe in getting sexual once I know that you're the type of person that I'd like to settle down with. So it's like an interview process before that happens, right? To become the woman that can do that is the one that gets chosen because you're choosing you.
Yes, I love that, because so many women say I'm liked but never chosen, and it's like you have to choose yourself first.
But people don't know that sounds like a theory, but in real life it looks like I'm choosing not to give away energy unless there's there's an equal investment. I want to learn. If I don't have the skill, I'm going to choose to learn how to create these elegant boundaries so that I'm not bleeding onto somebody just to be chosen and then abandoning myself.
Right.
So choosing you means choosing to learn how to boundary your energy so that you don't bleed it to somebody who isn't investing.
Right. Yes.
That
is perfect. Yes. People who aren't pouring into you. Like, there's just nothing coming back from the other party.
You don't engage your energy unless there is a reciprocity happening.
Yes. I love that, Nima. Oh my gosh. Reciprocity.
There's no fawning. There's like, this is who I am. But then here's the thing, Robin. This is all behavior. If you just focus on doing the behavior, that's not enough either. We have to go upstream and take on a new identity. An identity of a man or a woman who loves themselves, who wants genuine connection. So in order for that to happen, you have to become the person that can take off the mask and get vulnerable and get real and be honest with your desire.
Yeah.
And be certain about that, but be willing to walk away if they're not willing to meet you there.
Yeah.
Right? You're not like trying to squeeze blood out of a stove. It's a person that can get their nervous system out of chase energy. And this is what becoming trigger proof and becoming elegantly boundaried is all about.
Oh, out of the chase energy. Oh my goodness.
That's totally what it comes down to. And it all comes down to somatic nervous system healing. And so what happens when you do, you start to exude this level of safety and magnetism and respect, because people will see that they can't, because everyone's trying, as we get to know one another, we're testing each other.
Right.
How far can I go? What if I drop an F-bomb with them? How are they reacting? If there's no pushback and they keep saying or showing up late and not, and doing it again or canceling on you and just keep doing it again, you keep allowing it, the message that you're sending is, I don't really respect myself.
Right. Right. And I think it kind of coincides with the falling for potential. You keep staying there because you say it's going to get better.
Well, it's a dopamine. You're going based on a dangling carrot.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so here's the problem. When we are in a dangling carrot situation. We're chasing. We're in the chase after the potential rather than being real with what now. We become easy to manipulate.
Absolutely. And that brings me to like narcissistic traits. You know, it's like the love bombing, I just want to get you to open up, right? Because where loyalty lies, that's where you open up to the truth, right? I'm becoming so truthful with this person who's not being truthful with me. But now I've opened up. I'm giving them everything just for them to take it away. Now they're not giving me anything. So then that leaves me chasing, right? Because now I feel that despair. Now I want to chase after what was just given to me. And that's where I think people are falling, is they don't know that they've run into this wall of now I'm here again.
That's right. And so what this reveals is the unconscious dance of this trauma bond. And so when that narcissistic person is sex bombing or love bombing, male women will do it with sex, men will do it with the love bombing. Mm-hmm. In that space, what's happening is that person who's bringing it on thick is chasing after something, but it's not you. Mm-hmm. It's validation.
Yeah.
And as soon as they get it from you, by your openness, by you doing that, the next stage is to pull it away, withdraw it, so that they experience being chased.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So what ends up happening is I pull away, I'm whatever, and then I need you to be the mother that I didn't have. So a mother, I can mistreat you, but a mother never leaves her child. And I'm going to prove it to you by misusing you, by withdrawing, by pulling the rug out, by insulting you. Right. And all of a sudden now, this validation that you had from the love bombing gets pulled away. And now you're like a rat in a kind of like science experiment waiting for the next like little pellet, because it's intermittent reinforcement. Right. And it's like you're fighting for it. You're chasing, which is familiar to you, Robin, because as a child, that's what you were doing.
Right.
So now you've unconsciously recreated this thing through no fault of your own, but there's the opportunity there to break the cycle. And so the answer, it's not easy and it takes time and practice, is to become the person that doesn't get drunk off the love bombing anymore.
Absolutely.
And that's easier said than done. And that's what becoming trigger proof and elegant boundaries really is about.
So, Nima, I have a very interesting question. So,
hold on. Give me a sec. Let me prepare. Okay. That was a big, bold preface. What's happening here?
So,
yeah,
when helping your clients, how, I guess each one is going to be different, right? Because each person has their own energy and things of that nature. But oftentimes I see that people are getting stuck in the technique, right? You give them certain, you're guiding them, right? With different things, different avenues. You know, some of them watch YouTube videos. Some of them may be listening to you, different podcasts,
whatever. Yeah.
But then they get stuck in that technique instead of actually focusing on healing themselves and realizing, okay, I can kind of make it my own. So what do you suggest for those who kind of get stuck on that and saying, hey, this is how you told me how to do this and it's not working?
Yeah. So what's the outcome that you'd love to have? That's the first question. Whenever I'm working with somebody, because people are like, I tried this, I tried that, it didn't work. And I just invite everybody to just go, all right, this is not like medication where you take this pill and then all of a sudden it works and it's pain-free. Right. Everybody's looking for a medication. Okay. So if we can just put that aside and define to me what working actually means.
Oh my goodness.
That's the first step. All of a sudden you're like, huh? And notice how confronted you are, because if we don't have an aim of an outcome that we're working toward, then we don't know where to begin because we don't know what the work looks like. Most people do this work as a fantasy. Maybe this will be my pain reliever. No, this is like what there's pain involved in this process. What is it that you want? Do you want to be able to discern, become better at discerning if this person's okay or not? Do you want to learn how to just regulate your own emotions so you're not so triggered by other people? Do you want to heal the cause of your insecurity so that, you can walk away sooner and communicate your feelings and needs and boundaries in a way and give them the opportunity to either step up or you're able to walk away? What are we working towards, Rahman?
Right. Oh,
so if you get clear, this is when I'm working with someone. That's why I want to, people message me I say, give me your backstory and tell me what you want to accomplish. And this in and of itself, they realize, holy shit, I've been doing like therapy for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, no, because you're just going there and just talking in circles. I don't give a crap. Like, I care about your story,
right,
but I want to know, what are we working towards? Who are you becoming? And so this is identity work. So it goes deeper.
Now, for those, you say identity work. What about those who identify themselves with their quote unquote problem? They say, oh, well, I have a problem with this. I have a problem. Now you're identifying with that. So how do you release that?
Perfect. So let's give an example of, I identify as anxiously attached. By the way, I think I've given a quiz that in the show notes for anybody listening. The best place to begin is really looking at your leadership or your attachment style.
Okay.
So my team I make sure to provide that link so that you answer the questions and know, what is your attachment style? Anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, disorganized. So when they identify as it, I'm very clear in saying it's important to identify as it for the sole purpose of seeing the pattern.
Yeah.
So you can make sense of the pattern and know that, no, it's not your fault. No, you're not broken. Yeah. There are patterns that you adopted to survive and get your needs met in childhood.
Right.
Hallelujah that you did it. Congrats. And that's what's stopping you from going to the next level. So once we've acknowledged it, the next step, as you just pointed out, is we have to create an identity that no longer identifies as the anxious attachment.
Love that.
You identify as a secure person. And so we have the vision of it on the statue, like the statue of David. And then over a period of time, we start to chip away everything that's not secure.
And now, Nima, when you're working with your clients, how long do you typically work with them for?
Oh my gosh. So I used to say, I have a 6-month this.
Yeah.
I have a 1 year this. I used to do it that way. And then I realized that I don't want a lot of clients in a program. I'm only talking to few at a time. And what I do is I get on a call with them and I see, what is it that you're looking for? And then it depends. If they've been following me for a while, I'll only start maybe like doing a 4-week trial run, because it's like we're dating before we jump into bed.
Right.
So I do my relationship with my clients the same way. I don't sign up to just everybody. So what I do is, the first step is you attend the trigger-proof experience. And after you've attended the trigger-proof experience, we get on a call for my team and we find out, what did you discover? Because it's an experience. When you come in and you're learning some tools that takes you from what the heck is going on to, holy crap, I've figured out my pattern of how I co-created this through no fault of my own. What was my payoff in this? How was I involved in this? And it's very confronting. Like, it's so confronting that some people aren't able to make it through the 6 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And they will run away, or they'll get so triggered, and because they are like, no, the other person is the problem. And for them to see that they have a part in it is really offensive. That way I know they're not ready. That is a perfect thing. And now I've created this little this little consent form they sign before they come in that says, look, I'm ready to see what I've been missing, and I'm willing to be confronted if I see something that's kind of shameful and going to make me feel guilty. I'm ready to work through this and take ownership for my part.
And that was called the trigger proof what now?
It's called the trigger proof experience.
Okay. And what does that consist of?
And I do it one Saturday a month. And so the next one is on the 25th, and it's from noon to 6 p.m. Pacific time. Okay. And I take you through my trigger proof methodology, where you're coming in with probably the biggest conflict of your life that's happening right now, that's taking up a lot of time and space in your heart, that's weighing you down, that's causing you to go into rumination over.
Yes.
You don't feel a sense of freedom on. You could be partnered or you could be single and you're still hung up over that person. Doesn't matter. Or it could be a coworker. It's any unconscious relational dynamic that's creating friction. And I take you through an exercise that literally separates your pain from their pain.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's
in your body. In your body. So people who've been divorced or they haven't spoken to their father for 10 years or whatever, they do this exercise and then they're like, oh my gosh. And then they reach out and then they're able to have conversations with people. And so it's no pressure to do it. It just untangles from the gross energy that you have that's weighing you down, that's causing you to not sleep very well, that's impacting all your other relationships because that conflict is pouring into everything and robbing you of your joy. And it basically helps you breathe through that. And so after that's done, I'm curious to talk to you and I'm curious to see what happened. But until you've done that, it's like that first event will tell you most of the answers to the questions that you have that's leading you here. Just be clear with what your intention is. Share it, especially on the intake forms. And then I'm going to weave in your experience, if you're open and transparent, with this somatic work, because it's all about what you're bringing to the table. It's
wow. So essentially, Nima, this could also help trying to navigate through uncomfortable conversation as well.
100%. Okay. In fact, I always tell people my methodology is regulate, then integrate. So when you're triggered in conflict, first learn how to regulate, then integrate, which is bringing back home the parts of you that you just abandoned, and then communicate. Most people try to communicate without regulating and integrating. So we're in the victim story expecting the other person, and that other person's nervous system feels that energy and they go into defense. So there's no resolving it from that space. Mm-hmm. So the process that I have, that I'm living on a day-to-day basis, I have Persian parents. So it's something that I have to do consistently in order to clean my side of the street up, to then renegotiate a new relationship with new boundaries. Yeah. And it's constantly evolving as my son grows up and there's ruptures. And so it's really navigating the world of rupture and repair. And I needed it because my family's Persian. Yeah. And my wife, and they're a little kind of crazy and they're reactive. And my wife's nervous system hasn't had that normalized. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So navigating this, and she's like uncomfortable, and I'm having to help regulate her after hanging out with them. I'm realizing, holy crap, like my system has had to put up some massive fight. This is where I get my fight energy from.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Just even different backgrounds. I never thought about that.
Oh my gosh. So I just don't get how a relationship could possibly work. Mm-hmm. Especially if you have like in-laws and all of this together, if you're not learning the art of elegant boundaries, it just can't work.
Like that. Just the sound of that was really neat. And so how long, so I know you stated that you kind of went through a horrible relationship. How long ago was that? And how long did it take for you to kind of be in your singleness?
It was a 4-year relationship and it blew up in March 11th, 2018. During an argument, we just escalated. We were both abusive to one another. It escalated. And then she did to me what my mother used to do. And I went into dissociative rage. Have you ever been in a relationship with somebody and all of a sudden they acted out and you were that kid again and you were dealing with your dad or somebody? Has that ever happened?
Yes, absolutely.
So that's what happened. And I went into dissociative rage.
Yeah.
And I slapped her.
Oh no.
And I was like, and in that moment, everything turned because she then went on the offensive and was like, if I file a police report, then he could be done, or maybe I can see if I can negotiate something with him.
Wow.
So I went through that for like a year in 2018 after it happened. And I was like, how do I leave this and not have my reputation destroyed? Because I was like, whatever. And so what do you need? And she's like, I need money. Mm-hmm. Like she just basically listed all of her demands. And I was like, oh my God. So I didn't have any inner strength to say no. I thought I was going to be finished. No one was going to hire me again. So I started paying her until I ran out of money.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this doesn't feel right. And so I slowly started to pull my energy away. Mm-hmm. And then went no contact. She went no contact. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. So I met my wife, Diana. In 2019, we got pregnant in March of 2020, got married in April, almost. Oh, wow. In about next week is our 6-year anniversary.
Nice.
And then in September of that year, my son was born.
Mm-hmm.
So then a week later, I was arrested.
Oh my goodness.
So why I'm talking about trying to leave trauma bonds, it's the experience of, if you leave, I'm going to make you pay. Mm-hmm. And so my son is now at the recording of this 5. And as I'm going through the process, we're happily married. Relationship is amazing. My son's in kindergarten, great relationship. And I am in the process still of kind of untangling from the trauma bond. So my mess is my message, and I teach what I most need to learn.
I love that. I really, really like that. Man, so it still kind of keeps its little head over that hill a little bit, even
in process.
Yeah.
And it's like I had a choice. Like when it happened with Johnny Depp, he just went into hiding.
Yeah.
Right. You haven't heard from Johnny Depp in like years until he finally, went to court. I was like, I took the opposite approach and I just faced it head on, and I just spoke about it, and I write about it, and I talk about it, and I teach about it.
Yeah.
People who are ready to face themselves and take responsibility.
Yeah. And that's hard. Just like you were, speaking about disassociating, like trying to disassociate with reality, with wanting to deal with this and then having that avoidant behavior. It's a lot to try to work through. It really is.
And I wasn't given the tools to work through something like that. And so I had to go through and heal what this was really about, which was a repetition compulsion of my childhood with my mother.
Yeah.
So as I went deeper and I healed with those aspects, I could now be in a really secure relationship. So I'm no longer enmeshed with my mother, even though there's still conflict that can happen. I have boundaries around it, and I'm not in people pleasing mode, and I have good, healthy boundaries around that energy.
And then with, I know we're kind of coming up and I'm going to wrap it up, but in that sense, I know sometimes, Nima, that healing is far from linear. So how do we kind of balance that when we're kind of like being able to notice, hey, this is starting to kind of creep back up again? What suggestions do you have for that?
So it's really a self-awareness of capacity, that healing is not linear. It's an ongoing thing. So you're aware of your capacity, and, healing is repairing with ourselves. Mm-hmm. Healing means to make whole. So healing is am I still carrying any guilt? Am I still carrying any shame? Mm-hmm. Am I still carrying resentment? And so to notice when these emotions come up, and to be able to, there's no way I teach this in my process of, is to integrate them as they come up, not to stuff them down, not to just be in the story, but that happy medium of moving that energy through the body to get it to a state of completion. Mm-hmm. And that takes practice and time. And it's helpful to have it in community. And there's an at-home process, and it's a spiritual practice. And so that plus the willingness to keep working with whatever gets triggered as we go, because we don't know that we're ever done. It's no such thing as being done, because we just have to have the willingness to work with whatever arises in the moment.
Absolutely. I love that.
Oh my God, I thought I was done my healing. No, you're never. No, you're never done. How do you know? You're willing to work with whatever's arising in the moment and return back home rather than expecting an easy life that nobody triggers you.
Yes, I love that. But needing
willingness. Who live with 5 cats.
Yeah, the willingness, that is huge. And what is the name of your program?
It's called Co-Regulated and Magnetic.
Ooh.
So you're basically learning the skill of being a magnetic co-regulator with someone, where your presence with one another bring safety rather than co-dysregulating or codependent, which is, I need you for safety. Therefore, when you're not okay, I'm not okay. And we have a co-dysregulating relationship, or codependent, which is, I need you for safety, is shifting that to co-regulated, which is, we are here to remind each other of our own inherent capacity for safety.
That's profound. That's huge. Like that. Yeah. Because codependency is definitely rather large. And a lot of people don't even realize that they're codependent.
Yeah. If this relationship is swallowing you whole, mm-hmm. you might be codependent. If you've lost yourself, if you're like, who's Robin in this? Where did Robin go? She was a very radiant person at some point, and she's gone. She is gone, and it gets amplified when you're with this person. Mm-hmm. You might be codependent. You might be codependent. I'm not judging, because I was one too. I ain't saying you wrong or bad.
Yeah.
I'm saying I see you. And it doesn't have to be that way.
I get it. Thank you so much. And again, everything is going to be listed in the show notes. But if there was just one piece of advice that you had to give the listeners, what would it be?
I would give it to my 18-year-old self, is when you develop the skill of self-worth, self-regulation, self-trust, self-love as a skill, go all in and invest in that, and everything in your life opens up on the other side of you taking that plunge to do that. All in. Let that be the first skill that you learn.
Well, thank you so much, Nima. And before we go, did you have anything else to add?
No, I'm just grateful. The thing that I like to leave people with is the journey that I'm going through with all of my resentments that I've been carrying is this spiritual practice of getting to a place where you can see God in everything. Mm-hmm. Instead of I forgive you, you can shift it to thank you for giving me that experience.
Absolutely.
So it's the highest form of forgiveness is the authentic recognition that everything served you and that there is nothing to forgive.
I absolutely love that. That is the most, oh my gosh, I loved hearing that.
That's the work.
That's very hard for people to understand.
Well, it's a journey, and it's a practice, and it's a practice worth prioritizing, because without that, we are constantly carrying heavy burdens through life, and life is not the expression of this precious time that we have is not meaningful, not fruitful, because we're carrying so much. So this is the lightening of it. So lightening of that load and burden, but it takes effort to get there at first.
Yes.
Because as you said, it's hard, and it's very unusual because we're really committed to our victim stories.
Absolutely. But I love that. And it's also about alignment. And I know when you're out of alignment, it's uncomfortable, but also trying to be in alignment is uncomfortable as well because you've never felt it before. So getting used to a new reality takes so much work and strength to be able to handle that new reality.
And that's why we need to do it around a group of people who are doing it as well, so that they can remind you of the commitment of who you're becoming.
I love that. Thank you so much, Nima. This has been such a pleasure having you on today.
You've just been like, you're just radiant. So appreciate
Thank you so much. No problem at all. And again, thank you, listeners. I'm Robin Black. We had a lovely Nima today, and this is It's All About Healing podcast. Everyone, stay blessed.